Hold up, did we just enter the Twilight Zone, or is the universe straight up glitching again? Because baby, what we're about to unpack is not a rumor, not a drill, and definitely not your regular Tuesday tea. Lil Scrappy has been rushed to the ICU, and word on the street is it's bad. Like, family dissing the final chapter of a love and hip-hop legacy? Or is this just another messy plot twist in a saga that's been spiraling since the day Bambi threw that designer bag out the door? Now before you say this ain't none of our business, let me stop you right there, because when the streets go silent and Mama D goes ghost, something ain't right. Eyewitnesses say sirens were blaring, nurses were sprinting, and Bambi showed up looking like she'd just seen a ghost. And honey, she might've. Was this a health scare? Or something deeper? Stress? A secret overdose? Or karma catching up with a fast life and even faster lies? We've got anonymous sources, leaked footage, and receipts that'll make your jaw hit the floor. Grab your popcorn, your prayer beads, and your petty beaks. This drama, oh, it's just getting started. Lil Scrappy, a name that has long been synonymous with chaos, controversy, and headline-grabbing drama, now finds himself at the center of a crisis so severe it has left even the most hardened fans speechless, and the entire hip-hop community in shock. Known for his raw talent and relentless hustle, Scrappy's journey has been anything but smooth, marked by public breakups, intense family drama, and brushes with the law that have kept him under the microscope for years. From his explosive entrance onto the scene with chart-topping hits to reality TV appearances that exposed his personal battles, his life has been an open book filled with both triumph and tragedy. But what makes this latest incident so heartbreaking and chilling is not just the fact that Lil Scrappy was rushed to the ICU in a critical condition, but the dark, tangled web of stress, secrets, and strained relationships that have been silently unraveling behind the scenes. For months, insiders whispered about Scrappy pushing himself too hard, juggling a career, personal turmoil, and an escalating feud that seemed to consume him entirely. The rumors of exhaustion, sleepless nights, and erratic behavior weren't just idle gossip. They were red flags screaming at anyone who cared to listen. Family members had pleaded for him to slow down, for him to seek help. But pride and the harsh realities of the music industry made that nearly impossible. The pressure cooker that was Scrappy's life exploded when he suddenly collapsed. An event that no one saw coming with such brutality. The urgency of that night, with sirens blaring through Atlanta's streets and emergency responders rushing to his home, marked a terrifying turning point. Fans who had celebrated his previous health scare now found themselves paralyzed by fear, as news spread that his condition had taken a devastating turn. Behind the sterile walls of the hospital, a drama far more intense than any music video was unfolding. Mama D, Scrappy's fierce and protective mother, arrived first, her anguish palpable and unrestrained as she stormed past security and medical staff desperate to see her son. Her cries and demands for answers painted a raw portrait of a mother refusing to accept the possibility of losing her child. Moments later, Bambi, Scrappy's estranged wife, appeared visibly shaken and overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation. Yet their reunion was anything but warm. The tension between Mama D and Bambi crackled like electricity, a powder keg of unresolved emotions and bitter accusations that mirrored the chaos in Scrappy's failing body. Accusations flew about abandonment and betrayal, about who was truly there for Scrappy when it mattered most, exposing wounds that went far beyond the hospital room. Medical staff, overwhelmed and racing against time, fought desperately to stabilize Scrappy, whose vitals refused to cooperate, his body responding poorly to treatments that should have given him a fighting chance. The doctor's grim expressions and whispered consultations painted a picture of uncertainty and fear that none wanted to voice aloud. With each passing hour, hope flickered like a candle in a storm, fragile and vulnerable to being snuffed out. As the night wore on, the emotional weight in the waiting room became almost unbearable. A mixture of prayer, tears, and strained silence filling the space where laughter and light used to live. The monitors beeped incessantly, a stark reminder of the precarious balance between life and death. Then came the moment no one dared to expect, the flatline. The sound sliced through the room, freezing everyone in place as medical teams sprang into action, pushing CPR, shocks, and medications in a frantic attempt to pull Scrappy back from the brink. The seconds felt like hours, the tension unbearable, until finally, a miracle, a pulse, faint but enough to ignite a spark of hope. But relief was short-lived as doctors warned that the next 48 hours would be critical. The underlying causes of this collapse, still a mystery, and the risk of relapse ever present. Scrappy, barely conscious, struggled to hold on, while the fractured family surrounding him wrestled with their pain and guilt. Between whispered apologies and tearful confessions, the hospital room became a battleground of emotions as Mama D and Bambi, once at odds, were forced to face their shared fear and fragile hope. The doctors revealed that Scrappy's organs had suffered trauma, likely from the stress and strain he'd endured, complicating his recovery and forcing him to rest under constant monitoring. Questions hung heavy in the air. Had his relentless drive and refusal to slow down finally caught up to him? Were the demons from his past, the endless fights, and heartbreaks too much for his body to bear? Scrappy himself, in rare moments of clarity, admitted to exhaustion and a struggle to maintain his health, painting a sobering picture of a man who had sacrificed everything for his craft and family, often at the expense of himself. The once vibrant rapper who commanded stages and cameras now lay vulnerable, a stark contrast to the tough persona the world knew. As Scrappy fought to recover, the public was left in stunned silence, grappling with the reality that even those who seem larger than life are not invincible. Social media exploded with prayers and speculation, fans and critics alike debating the causes and the implications of this collapse. Some whispered about a potential overdose. Others blamed the relentless pressures of fame, and a few pointed fingers at the ongoing drama with Bambi and Mama D as a toxic storm that pushed him to the edge. Whatever the truth, the incident exposed deep cracks beneath the surface of Scrappy's life, revealing a man caught between love and pain, loyalty and betrayal, strength and fragility, the once solid foundations of his world now shaken to their core, leaving everyone who cared desperate for answers and desperate for healing. The question that looms now is not just whether Scrappy will survive, but what kind of man will emerge from this crisis? Will the battle with his own health force a reckoning with the chaos that has surrounded him for so long? Or will this be yet another chapter in a saga marked by heartbreak and second chances slipping through his fingers? As the hours tick by, and doctors continue their vigil, one thing is clear: the story of Lil Scrappy is far from over, and the coming days will reveal if this moment of crisis becomes a turning point or a tragic finale. The chaos surrounding Lil Scrappy's sudden hospitalization did not stop at the hospital doors. It spilled over into the streets, social media feeds, and whispered conversations in every corner of the hip-hop world. As news of his critical condition spread like wildfire, a swirl of speculation, rumors, and supposed insider information flooded the public sphere, each claim more sensational than the last. What emerged was not just a story of a health crisis, but a shocking exposé of a lifestyle fueled by excess, unchecked ambition, and questionable choices that may have contributed to this heartbreaking collapse. Sources close to the rapper painted a vivid picture of a man living life at full throttle, juggling multiple projects, personnel bend, and a growing list of enemies that seemed to multiply with every headline. Allegations surfaced of Scrappy indulging in a lifestyle marked by extravagant spending on luxury cars, designer clothes, and wild parties that went on well into the early morning hours. Whispers of late-night studio sessions fueled by energy drinks and, more worryingly, less legal stimulants circulated with a mix of disbelief and concern. An anonymous insider, claiming to have been close to the inner circle, revealed that Scrappy's recent behavior had become increasingly erratic. His once sharp focus clouded by stress and exhaustion. He was pushing himself too hard, the source said, trying to maintain his image and keep up with the new generation of rappers. But it was taking a toll on his health. Leaked texts and voice memos suggested tensions between Scrappy and his management team had reached a boiling point, with accusations of mismanagement and pressure to release music and appearances despite his declining health. Meanwhile, Bambi's role in this saga became a hot topic of debate. Some insiders claimed that their turbulent relationship had added emotional strain that exacerbated Scrappy's physical condition. Reports of heated phone calls and arguments just days before his collapse painted a grim picture of two people caught in a toxic cycle of love, resentment, and unmet expectations. Fans and critics alike took to social media, where hashtags began trending, not just praying for Scrappy's recovery, but dissecting every detail of his personal life. The public was split. Some blamed Bambi for abandoning him in his time of need, while others pointed fingers at Mama D for being too harsh and judgmental, creating an atmosphere of tension rather than support. Fake leaks of hospital footage surfaced, some purportedly showing Scrappy struggling to breathe, others claiming to capture private moments of confrontation between family members. Though many were proven false, the flood of misinformation only heightened the drama, turning this real-life tragedy into a circus of speculation and rumor. But beyond the gossip and social media storms, more serious allegations began to emerge. A whistleblower from one of Scrappy's recent business ventures claimed that, behind the scenes, the rapper had been involved in questionable financial dealings. Lavish spending was allegedly funded by risky loans and poorly managed investments that left Scrappy vulnerable to mounting debts and legal scrutiny. He was living beyond his means, the source said, trying to maintain an image that wasn't sustainable. The pressure was unbearable. These financial woes, combined with personal stress and health issues, painted a portrait of a man overwhelmed by the very success he once chased so relentlessly. In the midst of this storm, the public learned that Scrappy had been scheduled to appear in court over a dispute involving a former business partner. A battle that insiders believed had added to the immense pressure weighing on him. Speculation about whether this legal fight contributed to his collapse ran rampant, with many suggesting it was the final straw in a series of cascading disasters. The media frenzy intensified when reports emerged that the rapper had recently been seen at exclusive parties just days before his hospitalization, raising questions about his lifestyle choices and priorities. Critics argued that instead of focusing on his health, Scrappy was caught in a whirlwind of distractions, surrounded by yes-men and opportunists eager to capitalize on his fame and fortune. A leaked statement purportedly from a close friend warned that Scrappy was burning the candle at both ends, and that without immediate intervention, his health would continue to deteriorate. The friend lamented the lack of genuine support, accusing those around the rapper of enabling destructive habits rather than encouraging healing. In this toxic environment, it was no surprise that fans and commentators alike began connecting dots and speculating about the possibility of substance abuse playing a role in the crisis. Rumors of drug use, once dismissed as tabloid fodder, gained traction as more insiders hinted at a darker side to Scrappy's life, a side that few wanted to admit but many feared. Yet amidst the mounting allegations and public outcry, there were also voices of support and calls for compassion. Fellow artists, some of whom had once clashed with Scrappy, took to social media to express their prayers and hope for his recovery, reminding fans that behind the drama was a human being fighting for his life. The juxtaposition of harsh criticism and heartfelt support highlighted the complicated legacy of a man whose public persona was as volatile as his private struggles. As the scandal deepened, questions arose about the role of the media and the responsibility of those reporting on Scrappy's condition. Some accused outlets of sensationalizing the tragedy for clicks and views, turning a serious health emergency into a spectacle. Others defended the coverage as necessary transparency in an age where public figures live under constant scrutiny. Meanwhile, legal experts began weighing in on the potential fallout from the various allegations swirling around Scrappy. They suggested that if financial improprieties were proven, it could lead to investigations by regulatory agencies, fines, and even criminal charges. The prospect of government probes into his business dealings added another layer of tension to an already volatile situation. Behind closed doors, Scrappy's management team was reportedly scrambling to control the narrative, issuing carefully worded statements and trying to limit the damage to his reputation and career. Sources described a frantic effort to secure medical privacy while addressing public concerns, a delicate balancing act that underscored the challenges of navigating celebrity crises in the digital age. At the same time, rumors of internal power struggles within his camp surfaced, with alleged factions vying for control and influence over decisions about Scrappy's future. These behind-the-scenes battles only added fuel to the fire, with some insiders suggesting that the drama unfolding in public was just the tip of the iceberg. As public sympathy mixed with suspicion, social media became a battleground of opinions, memes, and heated debates. The controversy even caught the attention of politicians and advocacy groups, some of whom called for greater awareness about the pressures faced by artists in the music industry and the need for better mental health support. In this whirlwind of scandal, health crisis, and public spectacle, one thing remained certain: Lil Scrappy's world was unraveling at an alarming pace, and every day brought new revelations that painted a complex and troubling portrait of a man fighting battles on multiple fronts. The question on everyone's mind was no longer just about his health, but about the survival of his career, his family, and his legacy. The fallout from Lil Scrappy's shocking ICU admission continues to ripple through the hip-hop world and beyond, with consequences that threaten to shake his career, finances, and personal relationships to their very core. As investigations into his health crisis unfold, whispers of legal actions and government probes grow louder, hinting at a storm brewing far bigger than a medical emergency. Rumors swirl that authorities have begun looking into the tangled web of Scrappy's financial dealings, with sources claiming that unpaid debts, questionable loans, and mismanaged investments could land him in serious legal trouble. Industry insiders speculate that his lavish spending and risky ventures, once seen as signs of success, may now become ammunition for creditors and regulators eager to hold him accountable. This looming financial chaos adds a harrowing layer to an already devastating situation, forcing Scrappy's camp into damage control mode as they scramble to protect his assets and reputation. Meanwhile, the family drama, already laid bare in the hospital waiting room, threatens to spiral further out of control. Mama D's fierce public condemnation of Bambi has reignited old wounds and sparked a renewed feud that shows no signs of cooling down. Friends close to the family report tense private meetings and heated arguments behind closed doors, revealing that the fragile truce forged in the face of crisis may soon shatter. The question of whether Scrappy and Bambi will reconcile hangs heavily in the air, with many wondering if the hospital scare will serve as a catalyst for healing or simply deepen the divide. On the public stage, the backlash has been swift and merciless. Fans and critics alike are divided, some rallying behind Scrappy with heartfelt support and calls for privacy, while others seize the opportunity to question his past decisions and criticize the toxic environment that may have contributed to his downfall. This polarizing response has intensified the pressure on everyone involved, creating a high-stakes drama that plays out across social media, talk shows, and news outlets. The impact on Scrappy's career is already palpable. Several scheduled appearances and collaborations have been postponed or canceled as the rapper focuses on recovery. Industry partners are reportedly wary, with some distancing themselves amid the swirling controversy and uncertainty about his future. The shadow of this health crisis looms large over upcoming projects, raising questions about whether Scrappy will be able to regain his footing in an industry that moves fast and forgives even faster. Beyond the immediate fallout, the situation has sparked broader conversations about the pressures faced by artists navigating fame, family, and financial responsibility. Advocates and insiders highlight the urgent need for better mental health support and financial counseling within the music industry, pointing to Scrappy's case as a tragic example of what can happen when those supports fail or are absent. In the meantime, the next steps for Scrappy's recovery remain uncertain. Medical professionals continue to monitor his condition closely, emphasizing that while his recent progress is encouraging, the road ahead will be long and fraught with challenges. The possibility of long-term complications and the need for ongoing care underscore the seriousness of the situation, reminding fans and family alike that miracles take time. As the drama unfolds, one thing remains clear: this crisis has forced everyone involved to confront uncomfortable truths about loyalty, responsibility, and the cost of living life under a microscope. It's a story of pain and resilience, heartbreak, and hope, set against the backdrop of a culture that often glorifies excess and overlooks vulnerability. In the end, whether Lil Scrappy emerges from this ordeal stronger or broken will depend not just on medical care but on the choices made by those closest to him and the support he receives from a community desperate to see him survive. The coming weeks and months will be a test of endurance, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. For now, all eyes remain fixed on the hospital where Scrappy fights for his life. A poignant reminder that behind every headline is a human being caught in the crossfire of fame and fate. What you've just heard is more than just a raw, unfiltered glimpse into a life hanging by a thread. A life that reminds us how fragile even the strongest among us can be. Lil Scrappy's battle is far from over, and the questions surrounding his health, his family, and his future are still swirling in the air like unanswered prayers. Now, it's your turn to weigh in. Do you believe this crisis will finally be the wake-up call that forces Scrappy to slow down, heal, and rebuild? Or is this just another tragic chapter in a saga filled with drama and heartbreak? What role do you think Bambi and Mama D will play in the next phase of this story? Can old wounds be mended when a life is on the line? Drop your thoughts and theories in the comments below, because your voice matters in this unfolding drama. If you're praying for Scrappy's recovery and want to stay up to date on every twist and turn, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll be digging deeper, bringing you all the latest breaking news, exclusive insights, and behind-the-scenes updates. This story isn't over, not by a long shot, and you don't want to miss what happens next. Stay tuned and stay involved.